Hello everybody, this is Kirisai, and I'm testing out a new idea for, well, streaming in general, though honestly this is just I'm using the stream just as a way of uploading this sort of idea, basically because it's simpler than trying to edit actual video footage. Yes, I'm aware that this is kind of lazy, but I'm just gonna kind of move on from here. Um, so, in the vein of actually a few YouTubers I've recently gotten interested in, I kind of wanted to do a series of sort of storytime videos. I'm aware of how weird that kind of probably sounds. Overwatch is mostly just for something to look at because I know just listening to me talk cannot be the most entertaining thing. And yes, these are just AIs, just for the simple fact that I don't want to deal with real people. So yeah, as I said, this isn't intended for a storytime sort of thing, where I talk about weird stuff that goes on in my life and that sort of thing, because I know people find this interesting, because I find it interesting. I figure at some level someone's got to find this interesting. I'm also very much aware that I'm kind of rambling and not actually getting to his proper story, and I really should be. And also focusing way too much on the gameplay, but that is neither here nor there. Okay, moving on to, actually getting to a story point. So, I've worked retail for a few... Okay, let's put it this way. I've worked retail for a few years at this point. And not entirely by choice. I actually would love to work a very, very different degree job field. But, again, not the point. There you are, Lucio. Sorry. Okay, well, perfect moment. So yeah, and as working retail, one of the things I've quickly come to realize is that even though I also typically work as I've also only worked as a cashier. I've never really done anything else. Haven't been management or done anything with any modicum of responsibility per se. This has been an interesting experience, to say the least. One thing you quickly realize in this is that people will talk to you about a lot of stuff. Sometimes things you wouldn't normally expect them to do so. Gods, I wish I could remember an exact instance of this. It honestly happens a lot, when you're working a normal register, especially one at some place like Walmart or H-E-B. It's honestly kind of weird and honestly a little bit unsettling. But yeah, people will talk to you about some of the most random and frankly somewhat disturbing things. Thank you, Lucio. Okay, I'm focusing way too much on this. I should have picked a different game. Okay. Right, where I was going with this. So, as I said, people get kind of weirdly involved in telling you stories sometimes. Sometimes things they've said they've never told anybody else. I swear someone at one point confessed to me that they actually committed a crime and got away with it. I don't remember exactly the nature of it, I just know it at least wasn't murder. Yes, I'm aware that's a very specific and also very vague thing to bring up. There we go. Okay. So yeah, that's the kind of things one of the things I've encountered in particular. Though probably the biggest story I had from working in retail was actually from... okay, I'm going to say it now, I did work for Walmart for a brief period of time. And yes, those who tell you that working for Walmart is a nightmare, they're totally right. Though for me, it was not because of the customers, it was actually because of management, but that's not what this story is going to be about. So, I was working a normal register one day. I also occasionally would work self-checks, just for the qualification of why I have to use the word normal register. And in this particular instance, I was checking out a few different customers. It was actually quite a few, and I went through. And when you're working with that many people, mistakes happen. They just do. great, Zarya. Sorry. You know, mistakes are bound to happen, of course. So, in this particular instance, I got to one particular customer. He had a coupon. It was only for like 50 cents off of something. I don't even remember what it was. And he wasn't even buying all that much, only about 2 or 3 things. And of course I'm getting to this point right as we're ending this, of course. Where was it? But yeah. He scans the coupon, and I scan the coupon, and I finish up the transaction. I fail to notice that during the, keep in mind, I was at an older Walmart, so it had old analog-style registers, which meant no touchscreen and very few options to actually correct mistakes. It's not an easy thing to do, and not especially for someone who's just a cashier. Wow. So yeah, so of course, after scanning it, the coupon apparently did not actually go through, at least not correctly, meaning he didn't get the 50 cents off. And he just threw an absolute fit about it. Like, I'm talking, he very nearly started curling up on the floor and flailing his arms like a child. Like, this is how upset he was by this, and I was honestly just kind of baffled. I'd also like to keep in mind that this was about, I'd say 3 weeks after I was actually out of training. So I was still kind of getting used to even being on a normal register without someone there helping me and watching what I do and make sure I didn't make mistakes. I was still getting very much used to the idea of being on register on my own. And so this guy doing this just completely had me flustered. He kept demanding to see a manager. The problem is I have no way of contacting a manager at a register. I just don't. There's not a way of doing that, at least not at the one I was at. Keep in mind, Walmart does not have a register-to-register intercom system or anything like that. There are service phones kind of scattered around, but there was not one near my register at the time, so I had no way of really reaching anyone other than my supervisor, which I could do by punching in a code on the register. That much I could do, at least. So that's what I offered to do, and he was willing to accept that at the very least. And honestly, but at the same time, he had no patience to wait for the supervisor. He kept asking when she was going to get there, and I said, I don't know. I don't see her yet. She'll be here soon, I'm sure. And he just would not have it. She finally did show up. I honestly don't remember how the whole situation got resolved. I just remember he left kind of angry. I'm honestly not even sure that I was the reason he got mad. I'm actually kind of convinced that he was just mad about something else, and I just kind of set him off, apparently, or at the very least that's the thought. Hold up a sec. Let me just... So yeah, eventually the situation got resolved, and honestly, keep in mind, there were scheduled breaks for everyone at the time, but my supervisor actually let me take my break early after that because they could clearly see I was just really upset about the whole thing, and they were like, "You know what? Go take your break now. We'll get someone else." And that was probably the weirdest, one of the most unsettling moments I've had. It's just working customer service. What's interesting was, that was probably the most angry customer I received, and after that I really haven't had anything like that since, which is actually fascinating because I've been in and out of customer service for a while, so it was rather interesting. Let's see what else. Mostly because I'm not really sure how many stories I'm going to do in this. I don't really want to end it there, because that probably was not my best told story. Mostly because I don't remember it very well. Okay, here's one. So, I actually worked briefly, and I do mean very briefly, at a call center for specifically AT&T. So, yeah, for those who called in for assistance with AT&T, just know these people they are real people too, and be nice. Just please be nice. It... God damn it, I hacked you bastard. Sorry. So, the training for AT&T actually took a lot longer than it did for any other job I'd had up to that point. I want to say it was about it was about 3 months of training before actually starting to go into normal, procedures, I should say. And... And so, in this particular case, it was... Well, okay then. Sorry. So, it was about the point when we were starting to take calls on our own, me and the rest of the training class. And keep in mind, I was on the afternoon shift, so that meant I was supposed to go home at about 10 o'clock at night, basically. And here's the thing. I got a call about a little bit before 9, actually. And it was this little old lady on the other end of the call. And she had questions about her bill. Keep in mind, this was back when AT&T just recently acquired DirecTV as a property, so they were doing a lot of bill combinations, that sort of thing. It was their way of making things every bit more convenient for everybody. It made sense in the long run. It's just kind of a messy process in the initial. Right, where's I going on this? So, this woman obviously had questions about her bill because she'd just done the bundling thing very recently. And this is where it gets a little funky. So, as she's asking me questions about her bill, I'm trying my best to explain. And this woman would not let me finish a sentence or explanation, meaning I kept going back over the same things multiple times. And I do mean multiple times. And she was asking the same question because she wouldn't let me finish explaining. It was honestly kind of maddening. And here's the other thing. Just because you were talking to someone who... Also another thing to keep in mind. They explicitly told us that supervisors and general agents have the exact same amount of access. The only difference between the two is the amount of experience. That's it. And so, with that in mind, this meant I cannot offer to transfer her to a supervisor. She must ask for it. Yeah. So that meant I had to keep trying to answer her explanations until she tried to ask for assistance from someone else. And oh boy, did this make things take a long time. And this whole her interrupting me thing, me trying to explain the same thing again, and then her interrupting me again, it just went on. And it was about an hour and 45 minutes before she finally asked to speak to a supervisor. This meant I was going home about a half hour later than I should have been. Needless to say, I was both upset and very unsettled. And, oh joys. So, and keep in mind, That call alone told me I was not cut out for being an over-the-phone person, and I basically quit the next day. I just did not have it in me to go back. That call actually made me feel physically ill afterwards. It unsettled me that deeply. So, yeah. So, and for those who have listened at least thus far, just keep in mind, people that are doing tech support and over the phone, they aren't magic. They aren't able to access everything that is on the world because, let's face it, everything's limited in its own way. And more importantly, they are people too, so try to be nice. Let's see. I'll do one more story and then I'll probably stop. What else have I done? Okay, so let me go ahead and start the next match. So I worked for a clothing retail chain for a while, and one of the things that we did first things as part of every shift was that we had to go through. We'd be given an area at random, and we were told to basically straighten it up and get everything ready, or at least get as far as we could in about 15 minutes. And my section for one day was men's jeans. Well, specifically men's pants, but jeans was really the focus area. So I go over there and I start straightening up. And as I'm going along, I notice there's kind of a series of pants that have just been laying over the rack. And now keep in mind, these pants weren't just like it was someone who took off the hanger and then hung the hanger over the rack. No, this person took the time to take the pants off the hanger, look at them, then hang them back over the rack without putting them back on the hanger itself. Which meant I had to put every single one of those pairs of pants back on the hanger proper. Keep in mind, this is actually extremely irritating and very time-consuming, because these pants are of varying sizes, and some of them, let's just say, are not the most, how do I put this? Some of them are not the most, god damn it, what's the word I'm looking for here? Been pliable of materials. I'm saying some of these are really stiff denim jeans. They're just dumb stiff sometimes. I don't know why that is, but it is. And so, yeah. So I'm dealing with that, and then I notice a man in the next aisle over from me. This is after I've been through about a couple aisles at this point. And I notice him and then here's the thing. I actually watch him do the exact thing that I've been finding the traces of. I literally watch him pull a pair of pants off the rack, take it off the hanger, look at it, and then hang it back over. Of course, as an employee at the moment, I can do no damn thing to basically try and say anything. I have to be polite. So, but good lord, I could have thrown a dagger in this man's back and he would not have known. That's just how oblivious he was to everyone else. Because he was clearly in his own little world about this, and it pissed me off for the moment. And then, to make it even worse, a bit later in the day, I'm actually working an actual register, and I actually recognize the man as he comes up with his wife, and they did not buy one goddamn pair of pants. And that just... oh my god, it irked me on so many levels. Because it's like, you did all of that messing up, all of that looking through everything, and you didn't even find one you wanted. That just pisses me off for some reason. It's like, it's just, it was rude beyond all reason. Keep in mind, I do not know any of these people's names, nor do I have any reason to find them, so please don't even try tracking them down, because I honestly don't remember. I have a weird memory about these sorts of things. Sorry. Okay. Well, actually that's probably about as much as I have to talk about for today. So, let's just go back to the lobby just so I can have a good wrapping up point. So, yeah, this is just kind of an experiment to see if how this works, see if anyone likes this, see if anyone has an interest in this sort of thing. And so, yeah, I'm gonna just call it here. As always, like, subscribe, and if you think this is a good idea, if you want to see me do more stuff like this, if you want to see me do other gameplay footage, other than this, I will try and find something that doesn't require my utmost attention like this. And hopefully something that I can talk about more easily. In the future, if I can actually get a proper setup, video recording setup or something, I may do actual, like, talking videos, or hell, I may even try and figure out a way of doing animation of some sort. It's up in the air. This is mostly just to test this idea. If you do like it, or if you have any polite critiques about it, or if you even have stories of your own you want to share, please leave them in the comments below, and I will make a point of looking at them later. Hell, if I like some of your stories, I may relay them in the next one, and if I do a next one. So yeah. Of course, as always, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. This is going to be Kirisai, signing off.